Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, returning back,
Welcome back
in the middle of the
Yes,
Combine
he's
weekend.
back. He's
I'm
back.
sure you guys missed my wonderful takes. I've seen week after week, day after day, the negative comments about my Kyler Murray thoughts to the Browns. Regardless if I'm on this show or not, I will always see those comments. But how are you doing, Zay? It's good to be back.
Dude, that's what I forget how I'm doing. How the hell are you doing?
I'm good.
We missed you here in the Big Play studio. It's been a void. Jack, you were cool, but you ain't no Max Loeb. Like, what we talking about?
We love
man?
you, Jack. No, I'm good. I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. And this is probably the best week to do it. I mean, the Combine stuff has been crazy, but the little breadcrumbs that have been left by Todd Monken, Andrew Berry, as well as a ton of players talking on social media has been cool to see. We're going to start with the news that just dropped the second we walked in here. Anthony Richardson has been given permission to seek a trade, and because the Browns quarterback room is a question mark, to put it lightly, their name will always be thrown around in these conversations. How are you feeling about that initial thought of Anthony Richardson potentially coming into a room with Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, and I mentioned it, I kind of forgot earlier, Dylan Gabriel?
The Browns quarterback room is I don't want to say unfortunate, but the situation that we're in is just so tough because, we love us some Shedeur.
Yeah.
And obviously we are very realistic of what Deshaun Watson is and why he would even get the opportunity to be the starter. But I just think adding even when you talk about Malik Willis or you talk about Mac Jones, you add in a guy like Anthony Richardson, who clearly fits Todd Monken's mold. He had that video where he was with the Ravens and he talked about what he values in a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He fits every bit of that mold. But if you throw Anthony Richardson into this mix, which may be the best fit in terms of the Malik Willis's and the Mac Jones, don't you feel like you have to play him? You feel like you want to know if you can cash in on that? Like, this is such a big year. Whoever starts, that's why I'm hesitant to want Shedeur to start first, because if he comes in and starts early, that leash is going to be so short, I feel like. We can be looking at week 6 and be like, well, let's try Anthony Richardson. And then another few weeks go by, it's like, oh, well, let's just see what Deshaun can do one last time.
Really.
And here we are 3 years in a row going 3 quarterbacks in one season. So my initial reaction is, okay, but what would you trade for him?
Yeah.
I think that's really what it boils down. If Andrew Berry can finesse a 5th-round pick and get an Anthony Richardson, sure, why not? But if we're talking like a 2nd or a 3rd, I don't even know if I would want to risk that, because you could just see what Shedeur and has. Watson.
And you could see what a 3rd-round quarterback in this draft has,
Exactly.
which it doesn't sound like everybody's super, super high on quarterbacks. I don't know if you saw, teams are calling to inquire about just about everybody, including Andy Dalton.
You got a Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Kevin Stefanski wants him in Atlanta. But what you just said, it literally brought me back to this seat, not this time last year, but after the draft, when it was Flacco, Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. Like, you can't just add more uncertainty to a quarterback room that's already uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the Browns quarterback room, Shedeur Sanders, uncertainty with a ton of upside. Deshaun Watson, if you want to call it upside still, the potential he once reached in the NFL, but also a ton of uncertainty and a history of bad play on the Browns. Dylan Gabriel, history of bad play. Upside maybe not fully there, but there was enough for the Browns to draft him in the 3rd round. There's a ton of upside and a ton of uncertainty. Anthony Richardson might be the most uncertain yet highest upside quarterback that's available right now. I don't think the Browns take that risk to add him. I do want to ask, though, start, bench, cut, potential Browns quarterbacks. Malik Willis, Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins.
Cut Kirk.
Really?
Cut Kirk. Who did you say? Who was the second one?
Malik Willis, Anthony Richardson. Let's
Now,
just put the money aside for right now.
Now, are we talking like future of the franchise? No, you know what? How long are we talking we got to have this quarterback for?
Let's say 2 years. 2 years with a chance for an extension.
I think you got to cut Kirk. I just think that's depending on what. Are we talking about on the Browns roster?
Yeah, just right now.
Oh, yeah, you got to cut Kirk.
Really?
Just because.
Okay.
You put Kirk onto this offense, he's not going to excel a player to be. He's not going to excel Jerry Jeudy to be Julio Jones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Only thing that scares me with Anthony Richardson, which is why I think the biggest red flag, and it's the same thing that we dealt with Jedrick Wills, motor. You cannot coach motor. When you're calling yourself out of the game and you aren't showing that you want to put in that extra work to be at any position, But specifically quarterback position, you cannot have that problem. So I need to know, where exactly is Anthony Richards' head at? Like, does he feel like is he on Deshaun Watson type of time? Because low key, if he had Deshaun Watson type of time, what I mean by that, not the money, I'm talking about there's a clear want for Deshaun to get back on the field. He's not putting in all this extra work, and he's not going to above and beyond to prove to a fan base that booed him when he had a ruptured Achilles that he wants to come back. If you can implement some type of motor into Anthony Richardson, it is the biggest no-brainer in the world, because that untapped potential is literally limitless. So I probably would have to go Malik Willis, just for the simple fact that when you talk about quarterbacks sitting behind and watching, I mean, Green Bay's done it with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. So there's got to be some kind of thing that you can grasp and be like, maybe Malik Willis learned something from an organization that has taken a quarterback, let him sit and develop and learn. So I would go start Malik, bench Richardson, cut Kirk.
This is so tough, because I agree with you. Anthony Richardson, if you can figure out the motor or the want to, which
the why,
I do think he's learned. I think that experience, what happened, getting benched, losing the starting job to Daniel Jones, and honestly, we don't talk about this, getting aired out on the Pat McAfee show for that. Like, that's a pretty big thing. I think that
he lost out to Joe Flacco too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so like, this is multiple. That's why it's scary though.
Yeah.
Because if you've done it once, okay, shame on me, but you've done it twice kind of now.
I don't know. The Daniel Jones offseason thing is weird, because that was very clearly Steichen's guy. I don't know. I look at the Flacco one more seriously than I do the Daniel Jones full offseason in a new system thing. And obviously the Colts made the right decision there. But I think about that. I think about the why, the want to. In this Browns quarterback room, I think I would bench Anthony Richardson compared to those two guys.
That's where
I would cut Anthony Richardson.
Cut him.
Compared to those two guys. I think, and we've talked about this, obviously there's a ton of moving parts with the offensive line. How does the defense do without Jim Schwartz?
Even with Monken as the coach, though, sorry to cut you off, because here's my thing, though. All of the things point to Anthony Richardson fitting to what Todd Monken would have to offer.
Yeah.
And you talk about play breakdown ability, and I mean, Anthony Richardson might quite literally have the top 2 or 3 throws that we've ever seen.
Yeah,
in
I
the
agree
NFL.
with you. I was watching it earlier today.
Yeah, and it's like, if Todd, this is why I think it's us as Browns fans need to come back down to reality and remember what we have been banging on the table for every single year. A guy who is an offensive guru.
Yeah.
We've banged on the table for that, and you finally have it with Todd Monken. And he's known for having success with certain type of quarterbacks. Yeah. You're telling me Anthony Richardson can't run like a Lamar? Not the same type, but like a Lamar. You telling me his arm isn't one of the betters? And like, it literally fits what Todd wants to do. And if Todd looks at him and is like, you know what, I could do something with this, then you know what? I'd be bought into it. But we also know that he wanted Shedeur Sanders. So that's why I just think that if whatever quarterback that they decide to go with, they have to be the starter. There's no quarterback competition. I don't want to throw him into this, be like, hey, well, may the best man. No, if you're going to bring another quarterback in here, he better be the starter and put all of that other stuff to bed, because we just went through that last year.
Yeah, the only thing, I think that's an awesome point. Schematically, you cut Kirk Cousins every time. But my question then becomes, let's say the Browns defense is as good, if not better, just good compared to last year. And the offensive skill players, Quinshon Judkins, Harold Finn Jr., those guys are both healthy. The offensive line is okay. You draft a wide receiver. Don't you want a quarterback to give you the average offense that you begged for last year to make you a 10-7 team and potentially give you the chance?
If we were last year, yes. This year, no, because you have a guy now who's an offensive guru. You have a guy now who's the offensive mind. I don't want average when literally that the main problem was the offense. And what Todd Monken said, that he was given the opportunity to build this thing up from the ground up. If we're building this from the ground up, the ceiling shouldn't be average. We should be shooting past that. So I can't accept an average, maybe for 1 year. If you want to talk about because I think Andrew Berry talked about we're theoretically 1 year away from being uber aggressive in free agency.
I saw that. Yeah.
So what's that average? I'm 7 to 9 wins, but no, that can't be the ceiling. Like, no, I can't just be like, how was the Todd Monken era? Oh, it was okay. Well, no, that's Kevin Stefanski 2.0. You could have kept Kevin Stefanski if you wanted that. We brought Todd in here because he's gonna fix this offense. I need it to be good to great.
Gosh, well, I'm with you in starting Malik Willis. I think Malik Willis, financial aside, if we were to come into Cleveland, I think he's learned enough in Green Bay. I think he's had enough stops, and I think he has enough raw talent to say that's the guy amongst those three you want.
How ironic, though. Another guy who was projected to go in the first round who fell.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he can teach Shedeur Sanders something, too. You never know.
Good point.
I think upside, you do bench Anthony Richardson, cut Kirk Cousins. If I'm looking at an elite Browns defense and I want to let's say 10 wins the AFC North next year, I would bench Kirk Cousins and I'd cut Anthony Richardson. If I can look at Kirk Cousins, say, take care of the football, which, again, that's a question mark. And if you guys are watching last offseason, I was one of the bigger Kirk Cousins haters out there. Like, take care of the football, feed the guys you need to, win 10 games, I would pick Kirk Cousins really over any quarterback on the roster right now, to be honest with you, but definitely over those three guys. But that is a good debate. And the other quarterback in this whole situation that we haven't talked about yet is Deshaun Watson, too, because you talk about the Browns being a year away from being hyper-aggressive in free agency. I don't 100% know which quarterbacks will be free agents after this season, but, maybe you see what you got with Deshaun Watson for one last try, and then you turn it over to Shedeur Sanders, say, halfway through the season. Who knows? If you have your answer and you're like, I don't know if either of these guys can be the future franchise quarterback, you'll have an opportunity to be hyper aggressive in an offseason. I feel like you have to see what you got with both of those guys, but I do think Deshaun Watson, like I've said for a couple months now, like I think he plays, dare I say, starts week 1.
That's why the big debate on the radio this morning was who gives you the best chance to win? Is that Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders? And I feel like that's such a tough question.
That's so tough.
And it makes me go back to the whole right before Deshaun got injured, and every single week Kevin Stefanski coming out and saying, Deshaun gives us the best chance to win. Now, I do think that there was some spite in that, knowing what we know, but it is very interesting, and it is very telling because they also talked about how Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward didn't give that overly glowing sign of approval that Shedeur was going to be the guy next year. Now, obviously, you're catching him putting the wrist up every other time, but who can you go, because they were trying to say, would it make sense if Deshaun were to come back and get the start? Does the locker room want to be led by Deshaun?
That's the question.
I think that's really the big thing. I think they are okay with Shedeur being the leader, but I think they are open to seeing what that potential, because they keep on, and we talked about this before the show came on, they keep harping that this quarterback is the next thing on their list, but it doesn't feel like there is a sense of urgency for them to do that this year.
And it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to do that this year.
At all.
Yeah.
Especially when you talk about the, dare I say, Brook Park.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to go all in when you're 4 years out, and that, let's just say you do pan out on that quarterback, and that quarterback does succeed with you. Now that price just 4 times, even more come time to renew that contract. So there's a lot of moving factors here, and I think unless something falls into their lap, which is why the Malik Willis thing really doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because if you're going to spend ample money, like Andrew Berry said in the One Press conference at the end of the year, if you're going to spend ample money at the end of the year, I know you need to fix the quarterback position, but why do that when he doesn't have an offensive line right now?
Yeah, well, there's definitely a priority hierarchy there, and I think offensive line should be at the top. What would be right underneath it is wide receiver, and I think that's a really interesting pivot to something we also just talked about before we hopped on the show. He mentioned it, Andrew Berry, as a comparison with the Chicago Bears. He talked about building the offensive line, drafting tackles, signing guards, however, draft and sign. It doesn't, position to me doesn't matter, but drafting and signing. I think we also talked about it's important to look at the dynamic for your quarterback who's a leader and the guys he is leading. You look at Caleb Williams, who is leading younger skill players. Think about the guy who's on the outskirts for a lot of different reasons and is potentially going to get traded. DJ Moore, a little bit older, wasn't in these recent draft classes, they traded for him, so it wasn't a Bears draft pick. But then you look at the other guys, the starting offense, right? You got Colston Loveland, who was a rookie. You got Kyle Monungai, who was a rookie. Obviously, DeAndre Swift was another guy they traded for, or signed, in free agency. But then you have Rome Odunze, who's in the same draft class as Caleb Williams. Luther Burden, who was a rookie. These are younger guys being led by a younger quarterback. You look at the Browns wide receiver room, or what it should look like next year, it'll be younger guys. It'll be draft picks. It'll be Isaiah Bond. I don't know if Jerry Jeudy's going to be here next year, but it'll be younger guys. Quinshon Judkins, young. Harold Fannin Jr., young. Who do you think those guys want to be led by? It's Shedeur Sanders. It's Shedeur Sanders. It's the guys who they can more easily relate to as human beings, to be honest with you. I don't know Deshaun Watson's exact age, but he's older than these guys, right? This is not the same Browns unit that's had Amari Cooper for multiple years with Deshaun Watson, that's had David Njoku for multiple years, for Nick Chubb, like all these guys. They want to, the skill players, want to be led by somebody younger, in my opinion. And that, to me, turns towards Shedeur Sanders. It turns towards a potential rookie in this draft, which I still don't know if it's going to happen or not. But to me, you look at the younger nucleus of offensive players, you want to be led by a younger quarterback. You want to be led by somebody who can relate to you, but also has the experience. And I think Shedeur Sanders may not have the experience Deshaun Watson does, but I do think those guys would be more inclined to follow Shedeur Sanders in a battle.
And I also, I mean, it's so weird that we're talking about the younger in the battle. Like, when we talk about the direction that they want to go with the players, they went the complete opposite direction in terms of coaching.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that's going to mesh with that philosophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you think about Todd Monken, he's very old school.
Yeah.
And I love that. I don't hate it, but he's also caught himself up. I can't remember what press conference it was, but he talked about the analytics. And I know when Browns fans hear the word analytics, we get into a PTS state. But he talked about the analytics and how he had to adjust to that. I'm very curious to know how he allows these younger men to lead. Because Shedeur is a very unique personality, a very unique case. And how much volumes does it speak when you do see the clips of Shedeur being the first guy to go see Todd Monken? What does that say as a player in the locker room? I'm like, damn, that's my quarterback. Hold up, my quarterback really trying to take the initiative. Like, if you're in the locker room, do you want to follow Deshaun more or do you want to follow Shedeur more? Because I think that's really what it's boiling down to. And there is I just went off the rails real quick, but it made me think about one thing that we got to touch on after this. So please remind me.
Yeah.
But I do want to know that. Where do you think the locker room would be more comfortable being led by? A veteran who has shown the potential and you put your trust in Todd Monken to unleash that? Or a guy that you went to battle with last year who won some games with a roster that everyone says was bottom tier in terms of offense?
I think it would be the veteran if the production was there to support it. Like if Deshaun Watson was winning games when he was starting.
He was, though. He was 4-1 before he got injured.
In 2023, though. Like, he looked bad the year after. He looked bad.
True.
And then, obviously, he got injured. And the year prior to that, obviously, that was a weird situation where he played, 7 games or whatever. Like,
how much of that had to do with coaching, though?
I mean, it's a great question. It's
I kind of want to dive into that, though, because think about... This goes back to the whole pettiness and why the locker room was lost with Kevin Stefanski. For the life of me, it's on repeat in my head. Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win every single week. And then when we get the little Tweety birds tell us these things behind the closed doors, and it's like, no, that wasn't him telling us that he was the best player. That's him bowing down to Deshaun and telling what Deshaun wants to hear.
Yeah.
And you geared that entire season to 4, like, obviously, you spent $230 million, so you should have done that. But how much of that was a sabotage through the coaching? Or not sabotaging, but why didn't the all-in work that time? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, that is the immediate point we went to when Stefanski was rumored to leave or left. Like, we had Joe Hayden on here a few months ago talking about like the pieces on the chessboard and how Kevin Stefanski could cap the ceiling of some of these guys, right? I think there's some truth to that. I also do think there's some truth to the results. Like, I don't know Deshaun Watson's exact record as a starter in his time in Cleveland, but it can't be good. It can't be far above 500.
It's actually good, though. I
Really?
think it's actually good. I think the 2024 season, because let's go through it. 2022 at the end of the year, they ended up winning 2 games with him?
And that would have been 2-6 then, or 2-5?
2-4, right?
I don't know the exact number.
Because it would have been 6 games, so it would have been less. I think it was 2-4. Then the season after that, he went 4-1.
Yeah.
So we're positive still, right? By how many games?
A game
or 2.
He is 9-10, guys. This is the Cleveland Browns starters.
Okay.
And the weird thing to me, though, guys, is you take this full circle. We began the segment with Anthony Richardson, right?
Yeah.
And he was, questioned concerning of his sort of character on the field, where walk off the field, take himself out, head tap. Guys, we saw the same thing with Deshaun Watson in that Washington game. It's a perfect comparison to me. I think Zay will obviously disagree here, and we'll hit this one on the next break, but you saw what you saw. He turns 31 September 14th, so he's going to be going into his age 31 season with Deshaun Watson. I don't know that you can run him back out there, especially after you walked off the field like that and made Kevin Stefanski react like a real human being for once. That's such a rare thing. I don't think you can go back to DW4.
I don't think I don't think the young offense in the locker room wants to.
Yeah.
It's not even about not wanting to go back to Watson. It's just looking at who's in the locker room that can lead you, and Shedeur Sanders. I think that is a really good point about Watson, the Washington game, and how things ended. Obviously ended with the injury, but prior that season when hope was at an all-time high. I mean, we were in the Muni lot, inches away from Donovan Mitchell playing cornhole. Like, Cleveland was on fire.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
that team on paper was unbelievable. Dak walked into Cleveland and made the defense look stupid.
Oh, my
Deshaun Watson did not look great. And then everything kind of followed suit after that.
Amari Cooper was dropping passes.
Yes, like this was not – it was a Browns team that, for all I care, since probably 2020 was the best team on paper that's been here.
And they looked unready to play that.
Yeah.
But you know what's even funnier? We went to training camps that year. I believe we went to one together that year, didn't we?
I didn't go that year. No,
Okay.
I remember I did not.
But I remember, this was the year that Darryl Ryder and them were telling us how bad the offensive line was.
Yes, that was that year. Yes.
That I vividly remember sitting and watching these practices, and I'm going, oh no.
Yeah.
If this is what the offense is going to look like, because the year before that we were watching and it was Elijah Moore highlight over Denzel Ward this week. It was Austin Watkins deep this week. There were so many different, but we were like, oh my gosh, we might have an offense. They showed us exactly what the offense was going to look like at training camp that past year. That 2024 season was very, very weird. And I just wonder if the feud between Deshaun and Kevin was way too much that nothing else could work along with it.
I mean, if your quarterback and coach aren't in lockstep, it has to be like that, right? There has to be some type of tension in the building. And then if your quarterback can't stay upright with his offensive line, that multiplies this thing tenfold. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back on Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor the Land on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Ever wanted to go to the NBA Finals? Well, now is your chance, courtesy of FanDuel. All you have to do is use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you'll be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. NBA futures let you lock in your pick for who you think will go all the way, whether it's a team to win the championship or a conference title. Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to get started. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. No purchase necessary. Limit one entry for Profit Boost token. Opt-in required. Must apply Profit Boost token on select market. Restrictions apply. See full terms, including methods of entry at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Talking NBA Finals trip on the line. The Cleveland Cavaliers look red hot right now. Obviously, not without, any injuries, though. James Harden, the fractured finger. Sounds like something that could be played through. I saw a tweet saying the average time missed with an injury like this, I guess it's the tip of his non-shooting hand, is about 2 weeks. It was like 17 days. Look, Cavs getting the dance and Harden's healthy. I really don't care. I mean, it's them and everybody else. And if the Celtics get Tatum back, it's probably them, the Celtics, and everybody else, in my opinion.
Listen, you can shoot the ball without your thumb. I'm telling you. I'm a left-hander. And there was a ball in my hand right now. Sure, it'd be a little uncomfortable. We talking about a top 10 shooter to ever play the game of basketball. We gonna be all right, all right? Like, we gonna be fine. There were a lot more things that I took away from the game yesterday. I know you went to the Knicks game a couple of days ago, which was fun, but it wasn't the test that I was expecting nor looking for.
Well, I think it was the test. I think the Cavs rose to the moment.
I don't think that we got the full Knicks, though. I didn't feel it from Jalen Brunson. I didn't feel it from Josh Hart. I didn't feel it from those guys like you feel it when you know that they're in that mode. And that was the one thing that I want to take away from that, because I don't want to take away anything from Jared Allen. I called him out that day, and he rose to the occasion. Not only that day, but yesterday as well.
He's been great all month.
So I would have liked to seen that Knicks team. I didn't feel like I saw that. But yesterday was, even though we lost, man, I came away with that feeling good. I'm like, I'm ready to see. I'm getting Matthew Dellavedova vibes from Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder.
I would say from Dennis Schroeder, yeah.
Oh, their energy is unreal. Keon Ellis is going to win us a game in the playoffs. I don't know when. Right. I don't know when it's going to be, if it's going to come on the defensive end or the offensive end. Keon Ellis, mark it today at 2:50, Thursday, February 26th. I'm stamping it and calling it. Keon Ellis will win us a game at the hands of him, whether it be on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. He is that contagious. If Jarvis Landry was in the locker room, he wouldn't have to talk to Keon Ellis talking about this energy is contagious because he's giving off the best. Look how hype I'm getting just talking about him. Like, that's what he does when I watch him.
I see. I have the same sentiment, but for Schroeder. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm with you when you watch the Knicks game. You didn't feel the juice from the Knicks. I think the catalyst is always Jalen Brunson. Dennis Schroeder did an awesome job on Jalen Brunson. I think that was a huge part of it too. And again, the game against the Bucks, right? You lose by 2, half second away or half second earlier from going to overtime on the Jared Allen shot as well. That's without Mobley, Mitchell, and Harden. I know the Bucks. Bucks are not a great team without Giannis, but like, I mean, you have guys like Dennis Schroeder. I believe he scored 26 points. Guys who are stepping up. What's interesting though is you listen to James Harden just kind of talk about the dichotomy of the team, how he's affecting this game in Cleveland. Obviously, Jared Allen is playing way, way better. The key, I think, is right now it's Dean Wade, but whoever is going to play the 3, because you talk about Dean Wade, a guy who Harden said guard 1 through 5, but really who can give you a ton of different things. If he's making shots, then like, how do you stop that team? What did you say?
I said except scoring.
Well, against Milwaukee, but at the same time, he's making shots against the Knicks. Yep. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Max Strus. I don't know if/when he's coming back, but to me, that's an upgrade as a scorer. If Strus is back, I mean, again, this is a different team, and I think right now with the way that Harden is leading them, it is, by definition, a different team. I made a video on it. The Cavs' pace of play, how many possessions per game they're getting is slowing down with Harden too. They're very clearly trusting what they have in the half court, the offensive end, and it's opening things up for Jared Allen. The pick and roll game is unbelievable with Harden. But now you have guys like Donovan Mitchell, who's maybe touching the ball a little bit less, scoring a little bit less, but getting better looks, and doesn't have to take command of the offense every single second he's out there, which, again, takes a toll on a player physically. Like, that's a hard thing to do, to take control of the offense every set or almost every set runs through you, and then you got to get back on defense. It's a hard thing to do, and Harden coming in has lightened that load even a little bit, which can be the difference in a game, a playoff game.
Mm-hmm. Like, I know in recent years, people have always tried to compare the Cavaliers teams to the 2016 teams, especially when they had that run. Wasn't that last year they went on that big run? They won a bunch of games last year.
Yeah, at the start of the year.
Yeah. So they were always trying to find ways to compare it, and it never really, like, they were nothing the same. Mm-hmm. This team this year, who they have on the roster today, it feels so much like that team. And what do I mean by that? You think about when they did become serious. When they traded for J.R. Smith and Amon Shumpert, it was go time. Mm-hmm. They traded for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, almost like the same style of players that you're getting. Obviously, J.R. Smith was a way better shooter than these guys, probably created shot better than them. But you think about the moves that they made and the players that they have on their roster. I've made a video on it. I talked about it on the live stream during the broadcast. Make sure you guys tap in. This team has the perfect role players to be superstars in their roles. Agreed. There is a video out. I wish I can remember it, but Tristan Thompson was interviewed years back. This was right around the championship time, and he talked about what made that championship team so successful. And he goes on to talk about being a superstar in your role. One thing that you looked in last year and the year before with the Darius Garland and the core 4 teams, no one was exceeding in their role. No one was even really living up to that. Not in Donovan Mitchell's, obviously. Darius had his injuries and stuff like that. But when you looked at the bench players and the role players and the 6th, 7th, 8th guy off the bench, they weren't doing anything special. This team, you can look at Jalen Tyson. You can look at Keon Ellis. You can look at Dennis Schroeder. You can look at Thomas Bryant, who is going to give you a certain type of dynamic come playoff time. Mm-hmm. Naquan Tomlin. They have certain guys on this team that are not going to try to step out of their role and be something that they're not. And that in basketball is one of the most important keys that you can have when you have guys who are willing to take the step back. James Harden willing to let Donovan Mitchell go off and be that guy. Donovan Mitchell willing to let James Harden take over the fourth quarter in that game against the Nuggets and let him do his thing. That will get you a championship. And if they can figure that out and James Harden can get over his woes, man, this team is destined to go to the finals.
I think that's a really, really good point. I agree. I also look at last year. Everybody was kind of asked to play multiple roles. I think it had a lot to do with Darius Garland's injury. I really think that was the biggest factor in everything. But, guys like Sam Merrill, who is a superstar as a six-man shooter coming off the bench, has been playing really, really well the past month or so. That to me is a superstar in his role, where last year, and he rose to the occasion when he was asked to do it at times, but last year was kind of asked to be the number 2 ball handler, to run the offense through him if Donovan Mitchell was, on the bench. I still remember game 2 against the Pacers. They lost. Donovan Mitchell, I can't remember how many points he scored, a lot of points. He was getting physically beat up, and he was out there almost the whole game, and it's like, when is somebody else going to take a shot? Granted, Mobley was out that game too, I believe. But you're asking guys to play multiple roles. Now I don't think you are. You look at the 4 best starters, whoever's going to play the 3, it's probably going to be Dean Wade until Max Strus comes back. You're asking him to play defense and shoot threes. But the other guys have their roles offensively. You look at Sam Merrill being the primary scorer off the bench. Dennis Schroeder is a guy who can score, but can also be the utility guy, can guard probably 1 through 3. He's a tough defender. And then you have, really, I don't want to compare these guys to each other, but a long list of athletic defenders who some better score than others, but like Jalen Tyson, a Keon Ellis, a Naquan Tomlin if he's asked to play a little bit more. Guys who can provide similar roles that a Dean Wade at the 3 could as well. They're deep at that 3-4, I'll play defense and give you 10 points role as well. So I think if healthy, the Cavs are a tough out for any team in a 7-game series, especially with Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah, they definitely have to. There's a few things that they got to get past. I know I'm a big Jalen Tyson fan over the past few weeks, I should say, and ever since that 40-point game, it just seems like the example that I used on the live stream yesterday was, when you mess up on a play and then the very next play you see that person trying way too hard, he'll stumble over his feet, he'll throw up a tough shot, he'll foul someone. Every time I've been watching Jalen Tyson, it seems as if he's exerting himself too much. He's not letting the game come naturally to him. And I think that comes with the 4 of 19 shooting or whatever he had last night. You got to fix that up. We got to have a serious conversation about Evan Mobley because, I think a lot of people are starting to, the tide's starting to change from Jared Allen to Evan Mobley now. And we're starting to see that Evan Mobley is this guy. And we're like, wait a minute, why ain't Evan Mobley keeping up with this? And I've been seeing a lot of people say that if they can move on from Evan Mobley, he's peaked. Do with this offseason. They'd much rather keep Jared Allen. What say you? Do you want to keep Jared? Would you, if you had to choose next year for a trade piece, because obviously there was the Giannis conversation, would you want to move on from Evan Mobley, or do you want to give him his full shot and see if you can, reach the unicorn potential with him?
I do think you give him his full shot. I think if you were to ask, you have to move on from Evan Mobley or Jared Allen, obviously for different prices, I would pick moving on from Jared Allen every time.
Every time? See, I thought I was there too.
But here's the thing, Jared Allen, obviously, he's had his spurts where he's played well without Harden, but it's been inconsistent. With Harden, it's been awesome. James Harden has done this with other big men. Not everybody, but other big men, a lot of other big men. Who's to say the Cavs can't find some 7'2" athletic freak in the NBA draft who's got the right mindset, walk in here and immediately be a starter, an impact player?
Fair.
I don't know. I think it's harder to find Evan Mobley's than it is to find Jared Allen's.
I think where a lot of people are going with this, and I don't know, I'm trying to speak for them. I think where they're looking at it from is Jared Allen's living up to his contract, and Evan Mobley's value probably is never going to be higher than what it is right now.
I think what it was last year.
Yeah. And then when you see when Jared Allen is playing without Evan Mobley and how the game is I'm watching that Thunder game, and it's just Jared Allen didn't want to be involved. It was that because Evan Mobley was back and his role changed? Kenny Atkinson has to figure out how can you get the most when Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are on the floor together? Because for some reason it is not working like it should be. And if you can crack that code, it'll be a cheat code. No, who's gonna stop you? if you can figure out how to get those two involved, I say it like this. And a perfect example yesterday, Cavs started out in a pretty good spot. Jared Allen had 7 points, 6 points, 4 rebounds in the first quarter. Game opened up. Keon Ellis got some shots. Dennis Schroeder was taking off. Everyone opened up. Why can't you do that when Evan Mobley's in the game, though?
See,
that's like, come on, figure it out.
I think not. I think after last season and even into this season, where Evan Mobley was thrown in the same sentence as Giannis all the time,
Yeah.
I think it forced unfair expectations on him. I don't think Evan, like obviously you talk about Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, who's going to have the higher ceiling, better Cav last year. Like I don't think that was really ever fair to begin with. I also think you look at the Cavs, it's a very small sample size with James Harden, but they've lost one game with Harden, obviously Mitchell, Mobley, and Harden all out against Milwaukee. I'm not going to count that. They've lost one game, and the offense has been the second highest rated offense in the NBA in that time. Like, I don't think it has to be a 25-10 from Evan Mobley every game now.
No,
I
it
don't
doesn't
think
have
that's
to
the
be a
reality.
25-10. That's not. I don't need that from him. But like, I don't want. They're trying to force Evan Mobley into that Kevin Love role when he first got here. Remember how wonky it looked when Kevin Love first got here and you were trying to figure out Kyrie Irving and how can Kevin Love go from being the 2010 guy to just being a guy, a third fiddle? But then there's times where they're asking Evan Mobley to try to be Giannis, and they want him to push the ball up the floor. They want him to shoot the threes, and they want him to do this and that. I think Evan Mobley is honestly at his best when he can create his own shot, when he's grabbing rebounds and getting to go back up with it. Like, I don't think you need to necessarily feed the ball to Evan to let him go get you 15 and 10. Like, Evan Mobley can literally create his own shot, and then when he blocks balls on the other end or gets steals, he can push the ball up himself and create the shot. Like, they have to just figure out the feel. The feel, I think you can make it work. I definitely think you can make it work. But when Evan Mobley is 7 foot and he's out at the 3-point line all the time, and then Jared Allen isn't converting on those pick and rolls, and Evan Mobley's missing his 3-point shots, that's when it all crumbles. It's like, it's almost like they're trying to get too cute. Where have we ever heard that before?
Yeah, really.
They're trying to get too cute. Like, let's just put these big boys on the block. Let's just pick and pop with these dudes because they can both step out and hit the mid-range. They can both drive. There's no reason why you can't make Evan Mobley and Jared Allen work, but unfortunately, I don't know if it is gonna work. Just like,
but I don't.
The funniest part about that is like the key to me to that would be James Harden, and it's funny that Evan's coming back from injury just as James Harden gets hurt. I know it's not gonna be a long-term injury from James Harden, but if we can see James Harden elevate Jared Allen the way that he is doing it right now, he's got to be able to do the same thing for Evan Mobley. I'm not saying you want to have those two guys playing the same role, but Evan Mobley, you can create shots off the pick and roll like you can with James Harden. You just weren't able to do that with Darius Garland, and that's where there was a little bit of redundancy too, because you never really saw those rolls off the pick and roll with Darius Garland like you would with James Harden. I'm excited to see where they can go like mid-May. Hopefully we're talking about that in early May, mid-May for the fellas.
You know where I think my problem is? I think it's that they're both almost kind of like similar personalities. Like, maybe if one was fire and one was ice.
Mobley and Allen?
Like, you can't have, I'm not calling them soft, but like, you can't have two guys that are okay with being pushed over. You know what I mean? You can't have two guys that are okay with being bullied. Like, one of those guys has to be the enforcer. One of those guys has to strike fear into you and being like, man, I ain't trying to guard Evan. Like, if I'm a defender, if I'm Chet or I'm, any of these big men in the league, I pick my poison. Who I want today, Jared Allen or Evan Mobley? Like, it's not gonna. I know I got to deal with all that other stuff, but like, I'm not like, oh damn, Kendrick Perkins, who's gonna fight me, or or Kevin Garnett, who's gonna fight me and score.
Yeah, the thing is now, like the Cavs do now have that guy, Dennis Schroeder. Like, I know it's hard to say a point guard's an enforcer, but like he doesn't take it from anybody. I also think Jalen Tyson's getting to that point. But the thing that's really interesting to me is obviously your starting lineup is Harden, Mitchell, whoever's playing the three, Mobley, Allen. When you start to substitute, you get the two stars on the floor and two guys on the bench. Its majority has been Harden, Allen, Mobley, Mitchell. To me, Mobley is not going to get the same action in the pick and roll when Donovan Mitchell is handling the ball than when James Harden would be. And if James Harden's not on the floor, just him and Evan Mobley at the same time, I think it's hard to expect that much of a rising of Mobley's game if he's not getting the similar opportunities with Harden on the floor as Allen. I also think, like, we're worried about it working down the line, which is like, it's very valid. And obviously the Cavs have had their playoff woes the past few years. Such a small sample size. I get it. They've lost one game with this lineup.
We're talking. Imagine us being as diehard as Cavs fans as Browns fans, and how much we'd have to talk on the roller coaster season. Like, this is all stuff that we're just trying to fill at this point. Because when you really think about it, I mean, these players pretty much tell us. Donovan Mitchell, I bet you if he could go back in time, he would probably not say it because of the soundbite that came with it. But Donovan Mitchell said it. They could win 82 games in the regular season. It does not matter come April.
It doesn't.
When the playoffs come, the second them lights start to get too bright, I don't give a damn. Like 73-9, we ain't talking about 73-9 because the Cavs won a championship that year.
Exactly, yeah.
So figure it out now. You've got plenty of time. There is more than enough time for you to get this figured out. I need you to somehow, some way tap into a bully gene in you, because Allen got it. There's a deep demon in Allen that he don't be unleashing, but I can see it. The way he be throwing it down, and that one day, I don't remember what game it was, but he looked over to the ref and he go, "What the was that?" Or like, call the effing foul or something. I'm like, excuse me, Allen? Where did that come from? So I think Allen could be that guy. He just has to, I don't know, he's got to read a book or one of his favorite books. They were talking about on the broadcast. He wants to read 3 books a month. Somebody recommend Jaron Allen a bully book.
The Art of War.
The Art of War or something, to where he could just, channel into that gene, that dog. You know?
Guys, final thought on this one. The thing that sums it up for me, though, is the Cavs on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now, as we stand here, February 26th, like you said, they're plus 280. They're the favorite to win the East.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that the way that
them?
The Celtics actually at plus 340, and then right behind them are the Pistons at 350 and the Knicks at plus 450. That is not what I would have told you about a month ago or 2 months ago, let alone that. The way that the Cavs are playing now that they have been, other than, the first 2 months of the season, unbelievable turnaround.
Yeah, I don't know about you. The Pistons don't really do it for me. I think they're a great team. Obviously, they hit the 40-20 mark. Like, they're a good team, right?
Is it just because of JB?
That's my reason.
JB's the whole thing for me.
I don't know.
Maybe. This is without Isaiah Stewart and all those guys. They beat the Knicks.
Yeah.
I think JB knows how to build a team. I think JB knows how to develop a team. I don't know if JB can get you over the top. Like, I was talking to somebody at the gym, and he was like, "Man, those Pistons are looking good." I'm like, "Yeah, that it resembles what the Cavs are doing, though. We looked great all through regular season. Defensive, the philosophy of the defense, and all these things looked great. I need to see it come playoff time.
Yeah.
I need to see how legit they are. I need to see what Cade Cunningham's going to do in that moment when he's asked to really give you 40 a night, because the defense, because of the philosophy that JB likes to run.
Yeah.
I think JB is a good coach, but like you said, we shouldn't have no problem.
Obviously, last year was year one without JB Bickerstaff, but I was gonna say they remind me so much of the Cavs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just see what happens when push comes to shove in the playoffs. I mean, I think it's Cavs. I don't know if the Celtics get Tatum back, it's Cavs Celtics. Like, to me, those are the two teams to be in the East. But I don't know. I don't know if you saw Reggie Miller said it. He thinks the Celtics are the most dangerous team in the East, even without Tatum, which I think is a little crazy.
Hey, you're a Boston dude. That boy Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard's cold. And honestly, you look at a lot of the advanced numbers, and Cade Cunningham has been unbelievable. I mean, the Celtics are second in the Eastern Conference without Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown, to me, is the MVP right now. Like, he's playing basketball at a different level, and I think he's probably the best two-way player in the league. But you look at that team, like, obviously Pritchard can give you 30, and Derek White can do all this. How consistent is it in the playoffs? I don't know. Like you said, I'm a Boston guy. Would love to see the Celtics go far, but at the same time, I don't know if I believe it without Jason Tatum.
I think Boston there are two things that Boston and Cavs have that are different. One, Boston just has that championship pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
The experience, when they get in there, they're not going to get spooked or none of that stuff. But the Cavs, they have that energy right now. I can't undervalue how important Schroeder and Ellis and Tomlin and Bryant are going to be in the playoff stretch. You cannot coach energy. You just can't. That type of energy, if you could bottle it up and sell it, it would be the most selling product in the world, because you can't, that you just have it or you don't.
Yeah. And
I think that those are one of those things where it's like, if the Cavs can strike a streak, let's just say that March, like second week of March, going into April, no team is going to want to play them.
No.
Because they will be the hottest team. They will be running off energy. They will be running off fumes. They will be running off of the chip of the shoulder off of the past few years. Like, you don't want to see him in the first round, and you damn sure don't want to see him in the second round. Third round, you can have that conversation.
Yeah.
The jitters will be there.
Yeah, really.
The expectation, like all of those things will start to settle in. Yeah. But for the first 2 rounds, you do not want to play the Cavaliers. There's too much going in their favor.
I think so too, and I really do think it's a top-heavy East. Like it's the top 4 teams, and then it's kind of everybody else. Like Toronto, Philly. Like
Toronto's a couple players away. They got some nice pieces. But.
Philly scares me a little bit. I do think Philly can beat a lot of teams really at any given night, but in a 7-game series, like you said, like you think Cavs first round with. If they're playing good basketball, they're walking into the playoffs hot and hopefully healthy, nobody wants to see them the first 2 rounds. You're right. Then it just becomes, what seed do they get? Who are they going to play in the second round? Are the Celtics going to have Jason Tatum? How are the Pistons holding up? Like all of this stuff. But I'm 100% with you in the sense that the first couple rounds, I don't think anybody wants to see the Cavs. I don't think anybody wants to walk into a game where you have 3 players, dare I say 4, that can give you 30, just like that. Like, I don't think any team wants to play that, especially if the Cavs are playing defense like they are as well. I mean, nobody can drive on those guys, and you got Dennis Schroeder on the perimeter. I don't know. It's a tough team to beat. But before we finish up here, I do want to talk about the little map, the floor plan I sent you guys of what's going to look like Rocket Arena, Progressive Field, and a couple new things that are coming downtown. I don't believe it's this coming year. I believe it's the year after, but... Sounds like there's a 60,000 plus person amphitheater coming downtown, as well as, obviously, we've talked about it, Cosm on the side right next to Rocket Arena. Rocket Arena. I don't know if you guys took a look at it, but I think it's going to be really cool. I'm very excited for Cosm. I think that's going to be a very, very cool experience downtown. Obviously, pricing, I hope it's less than a ticket to a game, especially if it's right there, but you never know. I think that could be a really cool experience. I think watching the clips online, it would be awesome. You look like you're about to say something.
Because I thought we weren't getting these.
Uh-oh.
We don't got it, but report cards are in.
Oh.
Report cards are here.
Oh,
and guess who finished last for the first time in the 4-year history of Union Surveys? The glorified Pittsburgh Steelers. They finished last in NFLPA report cards. Your Cleveland Browns finished in the same spot that they did last year in 30th. I can't find the actual grade.
I'm trying to find it right now.
But I cannot believe we're getting the report cards when they told us that we weren't getting them. We need that one last time. And I'm anxious to know if the coaching grade was better than last year.
Wow. Well, this is, I have a quote from the ESPN article that was attached to that tweet. The Steelers received low grades in several categories according to the results obtained by ESPN. Steelers owner Art Rooney ranks last in the league for willingness to invest in facilities, a trend reflected by Steelers' poor facility ratings across the board. In a new category added this year, the Steelers had the lowest rated home field in the league by a wide margin. Look, I got so many looks for saying Renegade was a little overrated the first time I experienced it. They didn't even play Renegade in the playoff game against Houston Texans, which is nuts to me. If the Steelers, we're getting there. I don't think it's crumbled yet, but we're...
This also has to do with the playing surface too, though, guys, because that playing surface was abysmal by the end of the season as well.
Yes,
all the players have talked about that. I cannot wait to hear Charlie Batch and Trey Essex's thoughts on this later in the week. Snap count on the Big Play Sports Network. Look for that one on the Big Play app. But guys, you saw the field by the end of the season. That Ravens game, dudes were slip sliding all over the place in a Week 18 winner go home type of game. Unbelievable to have a football field in a condition like that towards the end of the season is unreal.
Listen to this. The Steelers' locker room was graded an F. Players reported that it only has 5 bathroom stalls for the entire team. That can't be true. I almost don't believe that.
That's a joke.
There's no way. I haven't found all of the ratings. But
that's going to be interesting to talk about for sure. Because this might be the last one we ever get. And the Steelers are dead last. How about that?
The funniest part, though, guys, is we're laughing about it, and the Browns are 30th.
Yeah, but we do that.
I know, but look at this. Like, you get the Browns, Cardinals, and Steelers. Granted, the Cardinals, by the end, players are just unhappy. You kind of get a lot of bad grades regardless if the players are unhappy or not. But to see the Browns and the Steelers...
That's crazy. Steelers is crazy. It's insane.
And the Dolphins ranking first?
People love Miami.
Miami.
And you know what? People love Mike McDaniel. That's what it is.
He dropped from an A+ to a B. I saw that in the ratings.
But still, I mean, A+ last year is obviously very hard to get. In a B, when you won how many games? Like 6 games this year? Like, I don't know. Everybody I've talked to, both in and out of the Dolphins building, loves Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
I don't.
They might have got that one wrong.
I think the way they went about it was definitely wrong. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I really like Jeff Hafley too, but I don't know if it's a bad thing they changed. I just wish that from any coach's perspective, they were not brought into the GM search for a little bit, and they're like, yeah, we'll see later.
Speaking of coaches, if you're a head coach, I brought this up earlier on the show that I wanted to touch on something.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a coach, wouldn't you want to see a superstar player, Myles Garrett? It's been
if that's true, that's super weird.
It's been a month. Myles was at the game. Shador's already seen him. Look, when I first heard it, I'm like, I'm not going down this path. But then I started to think about a little bit more.
Oh, it's weird.
And I'm just like, Myles was pulling the sword out of you didn't have enough time to go see what's going on here? Like, should we make something out of this? Should I get a little active?
The thing is, to me, and I'm going to be really careful making this comparison, but to me, Myles Garrett seems like a guy when he's not playing football who wants to disconnect from football. Very much like a player that was in the AFC North last year, Aaron Rodgers.
You want to win? See,
I think not seeing your coach is different than not being in the building and not doing all these. But like Myles Garrett, again, is athletes are people and football is their job. I know we view athletes as just athletes. At the end of the day, they're human beings too. Some athletes, some players want to completely disconnect from football in the offseason, which, again, I get. I completely understand. Not going or not, again, we don't know if he's not made an effort, but, like, not seeing your head coach.
Oh, he ain't making, no, call it a spade a spade. He didn't make an effort.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
These are $1 million people we're talking about. If he wanted to talk to coach, he would have talked to him. Don't you think?
Did he say he's seen him or,
he hasn't spoke? Isn't it? He hasn't spoke with him. I know he hasn't seen him, but I don't even think they spoke.
I would find it weird if there was no text or call, for sure.
Like,
sure. Although, I don't know. Look,
here's my only thing. I just want to get this thought out before I lose it. Myles has told us time and time again. His letter was about it. His whole Radio Row thing was about it. All of these things are about how bad he wants to win, and he's willing to do whatever he can to win. Mm. You are going through an entire overhaul in your organization where you are not only the best player, but you are quite frankly the best player in the league, okay? And you just got an entire new regime. Not the defense is going to be different too, despite how much they say it's going to be the same. If you're that serious about winning, how have you not at least had a conversation with him? Or at least like you were in town the other day. At the very least had a handshake or something that like, now obviously we don't know.
Well, Monken was at the combine too, so...
I don't know, man. I'm torn now because I was on the Myles camp where it's like I know he won. You don't come out and go 23 sacks and play for a 5 or 4 and whatever football team if you don't really want to go out there and do it. But like, don't show me you want to win. Like this is big. This is a brand new coach. I know you've been through it. He's been through it plenty of times. But like, that's why I say, should I dive into it or no? Because I could. It's not a big deal.
If it's about if it's in your mind about winning, no, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, the guy was the best player in football. He did. If there's one person who overperformed and did absolutely everything he could last year to help his team win, of any player in the NFL, dare I say it, it was Myles Garrett.
So this goes back to the bigger point that we've talked about a few times ago. Damn, I'm so mad we're talking about this at the end of the show.
No,
but like. This goes to show you the type of leader Myles wants to be.
I do think the leadership becomes a conversation.
This is, and it goes back to what I said a few months ago, if you remember we were calling, was like the leadership role was never a part of Myles Garrett's repertoire.
No.
Which is why I think he loves Shador because he don't have to be that type of leader anymore because Shador can be that guy.
And I think he loved having Joel Bitonio and David Njoku on the roster as well. And Shelby Harris on the roster as well.
Yep. So this goes back to the setting an expectation on these players, and like everyone was like, well, I want Myles Garrett to be this type of leader. This is another example, and this is not a gripe towards Myles. This isn't me trying to put him down. Leadership is not one of his best qualities in terms of he can set the example. I'm not questioning that at all. He's a leader by example through and through.
Yeah.
But when you talk about who do you want to be the voice, who do you want to he's showing you the type of leadership tangibles that he has. And I think that is so huge, and finding someone who can replace that.
That's what I was going to say.
Shedeur is that guy. Shedeur can be the guy that can take the pressure off of Myles Garrett because he holds the cachet. And if he can follow it with the play, Myles Garrett doesn't have to do any of that leadership stuff anymore.
I think a quarterback has the ability to lead an entire roster. But my question becomes, what is Shedeur leading with? Like, what's the stack of proof he's leading with? And obviously that'll come in time, right? But he's a guy who's played half an NFL season.
Here's what I'll say
rookie.
to answer that question. Obviously, the play on the field, you have to show the play on the field.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this organization is big on the people side of things, right? And the people person. Shedeur is just one of those guys, and everyone says it, that he lights up a room when he walks in.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can make anyone. He's just that guy when you come in there. So I don't even think it's one of those things where he has to buy in. Shedeur's just gonna gravitate to you.
That's fair, and I think he will like we talked about 20 minutes ago. I think the younger offense is gonna gravitate. Like that to me is a no-brainer. But I look at the defensive side of the ball, and you're right. Like Myles Garrett hasn't really been the vocal leader, but he also really hasn't been asked to be, or hasn't been.
I think he has, though. Last year was his first crack.
Actually, that is true. That is true because of what Jimmy has. Somebody said something about,
wanting him to be a better. Yeah.
Yeah. But like you can say all that. Joel Bitonio has been in the league for how long and has been a consummate professional in pretty much everything he's done. David Njoku, very clearly the outspoken, like louder leader for the Browns. I just think there have been other guys who have been better at it. Not better players, but better at being the leader. And now,
guys,
again,
does that feel like it's going to be as important, though, with an outspoken coach like Todd Monken? Because the last 5-6 years with Kevin Stefanski, you get nothing out of the coach. Doesn't it feel like they rely more on the players, where you can kind of get away with it when you've got those other guys? Do you think it matters as much if we got a new guy like Todd Monken on here?
I don't know. I said it before we got on here. We always laid it on Stefanski for like not giving us anything in press conferences. Look, to me, Monken's a more energetic version of that, at least from what I've seen so far. So I don't know. I think the dynamic of the team is absolutely going to change. And I think maybe you do ask less of your players in terms of how we see it in the media. But somebody's got to step up. And if it's not Myles Garrett, I mean,
I just think that Myles there's nothing wrong with how Myles operates. I mean, he's clearly, you don't become the best. Like, you do what you want, Myles. I'm not trying to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you want to win, if you want to get to the Super Bowl, like you are telling, like, not only are you telling us, you're putting a force funnel down our thing. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. Maybe it's time to try something new.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to try something different.
This is the year I think it could happen because of the Well, Bitonio not 100% gone, but Njoku, yeah, gone. Flacco, gone. Like, I think this is the year.
It has to be, because when there's smoke, there's fire, and now it seems like instead of every other month, now it's not every other week. It's almost like every other day I'm hearing, well, should you trade Myles Garrett? We've talked about it on this show before.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to become a real conversation again if this season starts to go south.
I think it is worth having a conversation about right now, and I've talked about it a couple times.
You think they're having it? You think anyone's picked up the phone and said,
yes.
hey?
Oh, somebody else, yeah. But I don't think the Browns are actively shopping. I think, like, let's just say Philly, for example. Like, hey, we got A.J. Brown and 2 first-round picks. You want to trade Myles Garrett? Like, something like calls like that, I'm sure, have been made. But
what if the Browns are not bad enough next year, but they're bad enough to be 6th pick again this year, and Arch Manning is sitting there at number 1 next year? How do you get to number 1?
Oh, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean,
because I think we talked about it, like, there's no sense of urgency for the quarterback. If everything is if we're putting pieces of the puzzle,
absolutely, yes, I'm with you. That could
would Myles have to be a part of that?
I don't think he'd have to be. I think he could be. I don't think he would have to be, though. That's a great conversation and a great debate. Like, if it doesn't work out with, I think 2 years of Shedeur, or whoever the rookie is, but Shedeur can probably tell you how you feel about him long term. I think there probably would still be some questions, but if you upgrade the offensive line, you give him enough pieces this year that you feel like you should perform, you probably get an answer on him. And then if they want to go quarterback next year, they'll probably have some ammo. I mean, Andrew Berry said next year would be the hyper-aggressive free agency year, which, again, I'm not really even sure how that's going to work with the roster they have right now,
right.
But he did say that. If there's anybody I trust to maneuver the cap, though, it's Andrew Berry. The interesting thing next year would be how they feel about the quarterbacks on the roster. And I think something that's hindering them from getting a full feeling of like, oh yeah, Shador's our guy or Shador's not, is Deshaun Watson.
Well, let me ask you this question before we go. Last question, and we're out of here. What does Shador have to do this year for them not to draft a quarterback next year? Because that's
a good
really
question.
what the question I think has to be answered. How many is there a win total that he has to get?
No.
Is there a certain yardage marker that he has to get? What does Shador have to do to be like, you know what? Arch Manning is sitting there. Jimmy Haslam wants him, but why would you move on from Shador? Like, where do we get to that point?
I think as fans or from the outside looking in, very casually, we want it to be wins.
Mhm.
I think if let's just say the Browns made the playoffs and Shador, like, I don't know, he wasn't great. Like, he was
PJ Walker.
fine. Yeah. Browns fans would be like, oh, this is the guy who led us to the playoffs. Let's keep him. Like, from the outside looking in, I think that is the mindset of fans. I think in the building, it would have to be, I'm trying to think of a logical jump from year 1 to year 2.
Well, they're over under 6.5, I believe. So we start there.
I don't think it's wins. I don't think wins from the Browns' point of view, the Browns front office, coaching staff. I don't think wins are correlating it as much as fans want to.
So if wins don't correlate it, that means it's another fit. That means that it's probably a failed offseason because
No,
you
not
didn't
at
fix
all.
anything on the offense.
Well, if
We have to win games.
I agree, but winning games, wins are not a quarterback stat.
When you're
I
Shador,
think
it
it's
is.
when you're debating it, absolutely. And I think that that's a very outwardly casual thing to look at with quarterbacks and say, oh, the Bears won 12 games. Caleb Williams, awesome, but the Lions only won 9. So Jared Goff, oh, he had a down year. Like, I think that's unfair to quarterback play. And I think if we're asking what we have to see from Shador in the Browns building, not fans watching on TV, in the Browns building, it has to be a very clear jump in taking care of the football, commanding the offense, probably pre-snap stuff at the line of scrimmage, coming into a new system and feeling comfortable and confident with it. And I think wins will come as a byproduct of that.
What if he gave us a Jameis Winston type season? He gave us 30. Let's just say he gave us 4,000 yards and he gave us 30 and 30. How do you maneuver that? And you go 6 and 10.
I honestly think they 30 picks is a lot of picks. I don't know. Like, that's your second year on a rookie deal, and you're obviously, you're throwing 30 picks, but you're throwing 30 touchdowns and have 4,000 yards. To me, that would say, like you said, 6 and 11, whatever it would be, would probably suggest they have to throw the ball because they're losing too. Again, I think it would have to be. That would probably put you in the same situation you're in right now next year, just without Deshaun Watson. Which, again, if Deshaun Watson's not on the roster, you're probably drafting a quarterback anyways, or you're looking at free agent quarterbacks anyways. I think if Shador can take care of the football, I think if he can very clearly take command of a new offense and maximize the personnel around him, he's going to stick around. Like you said, there's nothing that I think anybody in Cleveland or the Browns organization wants more than Shador Sanders to succeed. Do you know how good that is for business if he succeeds? Oh my gosh. Like,
you hit the jackpot of all jackpots.
Exactly. But I don't think the Browns front office, I'm not going to say organization, front office, GM, we'll even say coaching staff, is willing to compromise success on the field for business. I think there may be some people in the organization who are, but I don't think the coaches are. I don't think Andrew Berry is. And honestly, the reality with a 6 and 11 season, again, Berry's probably gone. You're probably getting a new GM, and a new GM would probably want a new head coach and a quarterback anyways. I don't think Todd Monken would necessarily go, but I think it'd be a reality that he's only here for 1 year. If the Browns are bad, you bring a new GM in and says, I want a new head coach. I think that's a reality too.
I don't think Andrew Berry's going anywhere. I think you could go 3-14 again this year, and Andrew Berry's safe.
I honestly think bringing Monken in almost gives Andrew Berry an extra year after this one because, like I said, if you're going to bring in a new GM next year, you're not bringing in a coach for 1 year and expecting that to be your true sample size. Like, you're probably giving somebody 2 years, but I wouldn't put it past the Browns.
It would just be nice if Coach could, or if Haslam could give these Browns fans 1 or 2 good years of a send-off. Like, I know you took your swing and a miss, right? And they keeps using that same phrase, taking a swing and a miss. I get it. But don't don't throw the white flag in before you go to Brook Park. And I just all of the stuff just makes sense to do that. But like, don't do that to these fans, man.
It's happening.
You got to give them one more swing. And even if you're not swinging for the fans, give me a Rajay Davis choked up on the bat. And maybe you get lucky. But you can't go out like that, man. You can't.
Look, I agree with you. I think if that was the true approach, obviously the Browns would eat so much dead money with Deshaun Watson if they cut him. But teams have eaten money like that. I think Russell Wilson. I think if that was the true approach, then Watson would be off the roster, to be honest.
I don't catch Todd Monken as Sean Payton, though. Sean Payton said, I can't win with Jerry Jeudy. He cussed out Russell Wilson. I don't see that with Todd Monken.
I don't know. I could see it. I could.
He seemed to say it to Jim Schwartz.
You know what? You're right.
You never know what's going on behind closed doors over there.
Right.
And I also, I meant to say, when we were talking about Myles Garrett, but I also do wonder how much the Schwartz situation is playing into him being
That's
quiet.
what I was wondering.
Maybe he's like, they took my guy. I'm pissed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's. I wouldn't put it past it's human nature to be, defensive of a person that you like working for, and they
like
do
Jack,
him wrong.
sorry,
or
bro.
move him on.
We love you, man, but you're not Max Love, my dog.
No, not like that at all. But we appreciate you guys watching and listening. We will see you next time on Honor Land. Zay, take us home.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
We'll see you guys next time.